Thank you. Yes, this is the 146th playing of golf's oldest championship. We are here for the third major of the season, and this year the Open Rota has come to Royal Birkdale Golf Club in New England for a 10th time. The sun, as you can see, is beating down on these glorious links, and our coverage of Morning Drive starts right now.
Show me. Show me what you're made of. Show me what you got. Show me your very soul. Can you really play this game? Stinger. Bump and run. Knockdown driver into a howling gale. Do you really think you're going to escape my rough, my sand dunes, my gorse bushes? Can you play with your teeth chattering in sideways rain with frozen hands? My beauty is beguiling. It's in my heaving fairways, blind tee shots, and my yawning bunkers. I'm different, you see. I want everything. Your imagination, your reverence, your skill and finesse with every single club. Do you really believe you're prepared to become the champion golfer of the year? On you go.
Morning Drive, presented by Rolex.
Yes, welcome along to the seaside town of Southport. We're 15 miles north of Liverpool, 35 miles west of Manchester, and we do hug the Irish Sea. This is the scene as we take a look over the driving range here at Royal Birkdale Golf Club. 156 of the world's best players are in the middle of a very busy day of preparation and practice. That includes none other than the 2014 Open champion himself. Rory McIlroy had a very early arrival here at Birkdale after missing the cut in the Scottish Open this past weekend. He's missed 3 of his last 4 cuts and desperately searching for some form in what will be his 8th Open championship this week. He finished tied for 5th here last year, one of 3 top 10s he's had overall in this event, but no doubt a good week needed for the Northern Irishman. As we welcome you to our set here, we're delighted to be live from Royal Birkdale Golf Club. Kurt Robinson, delighted to be back alongside Damon Hackett, a man who finished runner-up in this event in 1992. Cookie, we've already had a wonderful day. It's just after 3 o'clock in the afternoon local time here in England. We've all been out on the golf course soaking up a bit of the atmosphere. There's a real buzz, isn't there?
Absolutely. I was out earlier today with the champion golfer of the year, Mark O'Meara, 1998, right here at Royal Birkdale, and Charles Howell, Billy Horschel, and Jonathan Vegas. And what they were talking about is how lush the golf course was. They're used to seeing their tee shots hit and dust come up. You know, that's what you're used to seeing around here. The ball's just not chasing quite as much. It's very lush. The greens are holding as of right now. I mean, we know that conditions can change, in a heartbeat. But they were really excited about the conditions of the golf course and how the golf ball was reacting once it got on the grass, and then what it did after it got released.
Tell you what, the fans are excited. The gallery's excited as well. I got to spend some time walking around with a 3-time Open champion, Nick Fowler, who happens to be celebrating his 60th birthday today. And also, he was playing alongside the champion golfer of the year from 2016, Henrik Stenson. They had a very fine walk on the front 9. Sir Nick was serenaded on every tee box in green with happy birthday from the gallery. It's just been a lot of fun. I tell you what, someone who's not having a lot of fun is Henrik Stenson. And I talked to him last week at the Scottish Open. I asked him about his form coming into this event, about his momentum. He said he didn't have any. And you see here, working earlier with his coach Pete Cowan in the bunker, he's had a very busy year. He's talked a lot about all the obligations that he's had to deal with. You know, winning a major championship, it's not just all roses and serenades. You have to deal with the pressures now. You know, you're looked at in a different way. People want to push and pull and take your time. And he's admitted it's been a struggle for him.
Yeah, you can. Some people, it's in their makeup to enjoy that and relish that and grab their, put their arms around the notoriety and all of that. I don't see Henrik as that. I see him as that guy that wanted to be number one, that wanted to win golf tournaments, but what came after that, probably not so much. It probably has interfered with a lot of his preparation, a lot of his mental preparation, might be a little bit exhausted from it, but now you know what? He gives the claret jug back, and now it's back to normal.
And perhaps a little bit of relief in a funny way.
Definitely.
From handing it back. The pressure's off. The burden of being the champion golfer of the year is no longer on you, and he may. We'll see what happens to him after this event, but now the pressure is off his back a little bit. Henrik Stenson will be speaking to us live. His press conference will be live during our 2-hour window with you today, so we'll be bringing that during the course of Morning Drive. But Justin Rose is a man who's got a wonderful history here. Oh my goodness, do you remember the scenes in 1998 as an amateur? He chipped in on the 72nd hole, of course, won the silver medal for the low amateur of the week. He's working hard alongside his team, including his longtime caddy, Mark Fulcher. But I too spent a lot of time on the golf course this morning, really walking the front nine, particularly speaking to a ton of different players in different groups. Russell Knox said he thinks this is the best links course of them all. And this is a guy who's from Scotland. He said, hang on, don't ride off Muirfield because I have to stay true to my Scottish links. But Ian Poulter, Matt Fitzpatrick, Paul Casey, a lot of the guys, everyone's of course out there working, but I think everyone is in awe of the condition of the golf course, the quality of the golf course. It's true links, but one thing that's slightly different, Cookie, isn't it, is it's not your traditional links layout in the terms of 9 out and 9 back. That's right. What we see a lot of over here. This one keeps turning and cornering, and a lot of the holes themselves, there are a lot of dog legs out there. That makes it a little trickier as far as wind conditions are concerned.
Definitely, because you not really ever get a real good read on the wind, because you are changing position a lot, and the holes, sometimes the wind goes across the dog legs and not with the dog legs, and usually when you a true links course, you'll go out and you know what the wind's doing, you come back, you know what the wind's doing. Not around Royal Birkdale.
Well, I'll tell you something, folks. The sunny skies, the warm temperatures we're seeing today, that's just an illusion, folks. That's not going to last this week at the 146th Open. It's very interesting here in Southport. We saw it back in 1998. Even par was the playoff between Mark O'Meara and Brian Watts. How about 2008? +3 was the winning score for Padraig Harrington. You see the rain coming. It's going to be thunderstorms tomorrow, possible chance of rain on Thursday, more rain on Friday and into the weekend. This will be a very difficult test of golf.
Don't believe it, Damon. It's always sunny in England. Always sunny in England. We will keep telling ourselves that. It's a joy to be here. We've got so much more coverage coming up your way. But right now, as we take another look at Rory McIlroy, who's working hard on the driving range on this Tuesday afternoon, we welcome in and say good morning for the first time to our crew back in Orlando and send it to Gary Williams.
All right, Cara, great to have you back. The three of you look like you're in the Hamptons, not up against the Irish Sea. I think Damon's wearing linen. Enjoy the day in that linen. All right, we're inside Studio AP, and appropriately so. Charlie, great to be back with you. And, of course, we're a couple days away from a championship I know you were proud to play in. And consider the Americans. This is Studio AP, named for Arnold Palmer. That's where he won his first Open in 1961, was denied in 1960 at St. Andrews. But look at this roll call, Charlie, and they have a couple of things in common. They're all from the United States, and they're all in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, absolutely. When you look at the list of past champions here, it's very, very impressive. A ton of history at this club. We're going to get to that a little bit later in the show with Matt Janella as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you look at this and you start handicapping the field, it was interesting to listen to Jordan Spieth earlier today talking about how he thinks there's a lot of players that have the ability to win this week, Americans in particular. Give me an American that you think has a reasonable chance to get it done.
Well, this is sort of a hunch call, you might say, in the spirit of the fact that we're on a run right now of 7 first-time major champions. I've got my eye on Brian Harman. Brian Harman, you'll remember, finished tied for second at the U.S. Open. He's having a phenomenal year, right at $4 million in earnings. He's 9th in FedEx Cup points. He's had 7 top 10s this season. He's playing the best golf of his life, including the win at the Wells Fargo. Brian is a guy that just found it in the dirt. And you know me, I like finding these guys that just have a ton of confidence. And you know, he feels like it's him against the world. And why wouldn't you feel that way if you're Brian Harmon in an era when so many guys are bombing? He's not a bomber off the tee, but he has that internal confidence, and I love that, especially when you're dealing with a golf course. We're going to have to, as we saw that weather, you're going to have to be out in the elements. You're going to have to deal with some bad breaks from time to time. He is a guy that's thinking well, playing well, and I think he's ready to step up and have the week of his life.
You know, consider, Charlie, his win at the Wells Fargo, the circumstance. He has Dustin Johnson in the clubhouse already, the #1 player in the world who had posted. He's got John Rahm behind him, breathing down his neck, and he makes that bomb. I can't imagine what that's done to his confidence.
I've known him since he was 15 years old when he won the USGA Boys Junior. I was around him at Athens Country Club in Athens, Georgia a lot during his very fine career at the University of Georgia. He has a ton of confidence, a ton of self-belief. He's been through some down times. Right now, he is in a wonderful period, playing the best golf of his life. I'm going to be interested to see what he can do this week.
Okay, pretty good odds in those betting parlors over there, I would imagine, on Brian Harmon. For me, it's one of the pre-tournament favorites, and that is Ricky Fowler. We're on this run of first-time major winners, and if you look at him, he's won the Scottish Open. He embraces links golf. I'll never forget, back in 2011, they had horrible weather, and what did he do? He went out there. Maybe he was dressed like the Good Humor Man, but you know what? He was in a good mood, and he embraced the elements. And Jay Townsend, who is a European Tour insider, said to me that he followed him around. He said his entire opinion about Ricky Fowler changed that week. He was second, along with Sergio Garcia, in this great championship in 2014 to Rory McIlroy. It's time. It is time for Ricky Fowler to get a major championship. He's got to win a second, a third this season. I think he has he's one of the 5 players that I would look at with the best chance.
Yeah, I agree. That's a great call there. And when you start looking at his numbers this year, he really hasn't had any weaknesses in his game at all. And the strength of his game has been his scrambling.
Which is vital in this championship.
Yeah, bunker play has been #1 on the planet this year in bunker play. And with that wind forecasted 15 to 20, you're not going to hit all the greens. You're not going to hit all the fairways. That's a really nice luxury to have, to not panic if you do miss a couple shots.
Yeah, well, I mentioned Jordan Spieth met with the media a little bit earlier. Well, all week long, as we take a look at his tee time, Henrik Stenson, who returned the Claret Jug yesterday, he is the defending champion, Siwoo Kim. And all week long, we've got Dr. Gio Valiente giving us the psychological scorecards for various players heading into the 146 Open. Today, Gio, it's Jordan Spieth, isn't it?
Let's take a look at the psychological scorecard for Jordan Spieth. I'm going to give Jordan Spieth a B. For the first time since we've been doing psychological scorecards, he doesn't get an A, and here's why. Now, everyone knows that I'm a huge fan of Jordan Spieth, particularly because I love the mindset with which he approaches the game, the tenacity, the discipline, the humility, the resilience, all the things that you want to see out of a competitor. However, this year has looked a lot different than 2015. He's been battling his golf swing. He's missed a couple of cuts. It's just not as clean as it was. And when that happens over a period of time, even great players like Jordan Spieth can start feeling a little tentativeness and a little bit of doubt. And so while I think mentally he is the best player in the world and has been for the last 3 years, just a little bit concerned that the lack of cleanness off the tee, if you look what happened, for example, the Travelers Championship, putting a lob wedge in the bunker on the 72nd hole and hitting a tree in the playoffs. So these things get into a player's psyche. So I hope the next time we do these, I'm going to give Jordan Spieth his typical A slot. But for right now, he gets a B going into the Open.
It may be surprising to some people as we go inside the ropes, but when you win with less than your best, Charlie, it says a lot. And consider this, the last 4 winners going back from 17 to 13 have been in the top 7 in scrambling. He knows how to get it in the hole.
Yeah, that's a tough grade from Gio. I would certainly give him no less than an A in the way he thinks in his psychology. I think it's going to be a good week for Jordan.
All right, with that, we're going to go back out to Royal Birkdale and rejoin Cara and John.
Yeah, Gary, thank you. And Jordan's already had a wonderful day here so far at Birkdale. He played a practice round with good buddy Justin Thomas, Phil Mickelson, and John Rahm. You think there was a little bit of cash involved in that one?
A little pocket cash? Nice.
We don't know who won yet. We do know that Phil Mickelson has said he hasn't even packed a driver to come to Royal Birkdale, which is a fascinating dynamic at an Open Championship. We're used to seeing the guys change around what they bring in their golf bag, which is why we've asked you to bring yours in here, Cookie. How do you alter the equipment for this major championship particularly?
Usually I never really did much in the States. I always felt that I had the right equipment. I always felt I could play the right shots. I didn't really need, per golf course what I needed to change. But the Open was something different. And what I would normally do is if I did make a change, I would probably take out my hybrid or what would have been a 4-wood or back in those days 5-wood, whatever that. I would take that out and I would add what you see a lot now is a driving iron. This would be a 1-iron. It's about 16 or 17 degrees. It's a little bit longer than your basic type of length. But what it does, and you see a lot of guys doing it nowadays, it flights the ball down and it chases. And around Open venues, most every venue in the Open Rota, you can get the ball on the ground and that ball will chase forever because the last thing you want is going through fairways. You always want to have that ball being contained. So the one change I would make, I would put the driving iron in, whether it be a 1-iron, whether it be a 2-iron, maybe a long 3-iron with de-lofted a little bit, and that would be about the only thing that I would do.
Perfect example. I saw Paul Casey during his practice round today. I said, what changes have you made? He said, I've got rid of the 5-wood, I've put in the 3-iron. I said, oh, only the 3-iron. He goes, it's a 3-iron with a 2-iron shaft.
Yeah, exactly. And you use it a lot around Royal Birkdale. You'll use that driving iron quite a bit right off the first tee. I mean, you can use it off the second tee, now depending on the wind direction. I saw Charles Howell and Billy Horschel use it quite a bit just in the 5-6 holes that I watched them. And they didn't hit any drivers at all. So they just want to get that ball flighted, get it on the ground, and let that ball run out. They know it's not going to go past a certain number. They've got that figured out. So it's a very handy, useful club to have in the bag.
Yeah, and I guess one simple reason that people could choose to keep a hybrid in, some people like to use a hybrid to putt around the greens. I just spoke to Roger Cleveland with Callaway. He said a lot of players are going to putt with some longer irons around the greens. Adam Hadwin, he said he's going to use his driving
putt with
iron
loft.
To putt
Raymond
from
Floyd,
the green.
putt with loft.
So Raymond Floyd always used to like. All right, well, Justin Rose has been working hard here all day. He's relaxing as well with his team. We'll bring you some pictures of him just relaxing in the sun. What a wonderful place to be. Would you believe that his best finish at an Open Championship remains his tie for 4th that he did here as an amateur in 1998. It looks like he sure is happy to be back. And another lady that we're always happy to see is Chantel McCabe. Good morning, Chantel.
Good morning, Cara, and to everybody at home. We're excited for the Open. You're excited for the Open, and so are the players. Check this out with our social minute here. Justin Thomas. Ralph Lauren has totally hooked him up. They have outdone themselves this week. Look at that classic look he's going to be sporting in the opening round on Thursday. A skinny tie and a blazer. That is going to be a good look. He said he won't have the vest underneath buttoned up all the way, but he will be sporting a very classy and historic look at the Open. And Ernie Els says, forever pride of place in my home study. A letter from Mr. Palmer after his second Open title in 2012. It was a one-shot victory over Adam Scott. So something everybody would like to have in their study, but something the Big Easy will hold as a cherished memory forever. Let's take a look at the tee sheet for what's still ahead on Morning Drive. The railway in England along the coast, surrounded by those rolling dunes, has a lot of benefits to the locals, and Matt Janella shows us just how important the link between a train ride and the courses lining the rails can be. Royal Birkdale is the site of the 146th playing of the Open. As players get ready for the third major of the season, we take you inside the ropes all morning long to see what final preparations are being made. And last year's Open winner, Henrik Stenson, had an unforgettable battle for the Claret Jug that will be cemented in history forever. We'll have his news conference live, reflecting back on those moments. Plus, we get fitness tips from the Swede himself.
How to Play Golf, the definitive manual, written by Henrik Stenson in the final round of the 2016 Open at Royal Troon. Answering 2 questions in one forever day. Will he win a major? And what does greatness look like?